Okay, so here's our first problem that we're going to do for the project, and it is a graph. We're going to just need to get some information off this graph. So we've got a couple items here. We have brake horsepower on the top axis, so it's going to be 0, 500, 1000, and so on. So that is going to be the power that is produced, that is delivered from the engine to the propeller for useful work. That's what the definition of brake horsepower is. We're going to have another term down here called brake mean effective pressure. So brake mean effective pressure is the average pressure in the combustion chamber during the operating cycle used to produce brake horsepower. So it's basically the pressure in the engine that is used to produce power. So you have your power stroke, when you have your combustion, you're producing a high pressure, and that's going to give you an indication of your brake horsepower. The other term we have is our RPM. That's just going to be revolutions per minute, right? Our crankshaft turns a certain amount per minute. And finally, we have our CID. So we have calculated that during the mass section. That's our cubic inch displacement. That is the volume that the piston sweeps when it goes from bottom to center to top dead center. Even if you don't know that information, you don't need it to get this to get the problem right for the graph. But so what we have here is our problem. It says an aircraft reciprocating engine has 985 cubic inch displacement and develops 500 brake horsepower at 2500 RPM. What is the brake mean effective pressure? So what we're looking for is down here, right? So is at the bottom over here. We need our brake mean effective pressure. So if it's me, I'm going to write down all my information on a scratch sheet of paper that I'd have when I'm taking my test. It'd be 985 CID, and then I'm going to have 500 brake horsepower, and I'm going to have 2500 RPM. So when I'm taking the test, it's going to be on a computer, right? So I'm going to have to expand the picture up, so that's why I'd write it on the scratch sheet of paper so I have that information to use on the graph. So the first one is 500 brake horsepower. So our brake horsepower is up here, so it's going to be this line right there. And the next thing we have is the cubic inch displacement. That means it's going to intersect with this red line right here. So if I take this line all the way down until I intersect, I'm actually right there. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I'm actually right on this line right there. So that's what I like to do, is just kind of see where I am on the grid. So I'm going to be one up from this bold line right there. I'm going to be one box higher. Okay, finally we have our 2500 RPM. So that's going to be over here on these blue lines. 1200, 14, 16, all the way up until we get to 25. So 25 is going to be this one. So what I'm going to do is take my line and just draw straight over. Again, I'm not worried about how straight it is until I get into this area. Then I want to be more precise with my line. So I'm going to come down until I hit this right there, that intersection. And it's actually right on this blue line. So I'm going to take that straight down, and it's going to intersect right there. So I have 150 brake mean effective pressure, 155, 160, and my answer would be 165 brake mean effective pressure.